looking at one of Skeletor's men's through a Filmation lens. Here's a look at the Mattel He-Man and the Master Universe Tri-Klops, evil and sees everything. This Master Universe Origins Tri-Klops action figure from the cartoon collection is inspired by the original He-Man and the Master Universe TV series from the 80s. The evildoer that sees all is designed at 5.5-inch scale with a vintage look but the modern posability of 16 movable joints. This Motu toy has a rotatable visor and removable harness and comes with a metallic rock softener accessory inspired by the Royal Cousin episode. A mini comic is included for story context. Well, he may not be a three-eyed fish, but he's three-eyed, and he's fishing for details. That's pretty bad. Probably not as bad as Skeletor's men's and lens. That's the closest thing I could get to rhyme. Let's take the tape measure, though, and see how tall the cartoon collection Tri-Klops actually stands. The answer to that question is 6 inches in height, or 15 centimeters tall. As for Skeletor's men's, we certainly do have a lot of them. In no particular order, here's what he looks like with Skeletor Clawful. Merman, certainly front and center. What I do like, though, is that Tri-Klops is giving us at least one of the OG henchmen. Here's Tri-Klops, here's Trapjaw, obviously, here's Beastman. Webstore, who wasn't used as often in the cartoons. There's also Evil Lyn. Just get her to stand. Spikor, we're not done yet. And while that's all the cartoon collection figures, did also certainly want to compare him as... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to start earlier. Did also want to compare him along with the Origins version of Tri-Klops, which is the closest thing I have to the original vintage toy. So, what do we have for stuff? Well, the first stuff that we'll look at is a paper pamphlet that will be immediately going into the recycling bin after I show you what's exactly on there. Just to show you, though, that Tri-Klops' head, anything basically in gray, the head, the shoulders, the lower torso, and his booties, can all be detached, can all be swapped around if you want to make your custom Origins figure, or, in this case, the cartoon collection. Off into the recycling bag it goes. The next thing up next we'll be looking at is the mini comic. The comic included is Slime Lord. This now marks the third time we've looked at this, with Many Faces and Hordak being the other two bearers of this issue. Inside of the comic, I know you've already kind of looked at this a couple of times if you've been faithfully following this channel. Thank you for that, by the way. You can see, though, that the style of animation is sort of questionable. There is Tri-Klops, though, a couple of times. He looks quite concerned up the top. He's covered, though, in slime. And down below here as well, we've got Hordak laughing away, cackling away. On the back, advertised already, the two other characters we've already had a look at, Many Faces and Hordak. This will not be discarded, even though I already have two of this issue. It's going to be put off to the side over here in kind of my keepsake pile. I think I just dropped it. Up next, though, the figure does also come included with a rock softener. I'm sure there's a joke there somewhere. The rock softener, though, as appears in the episode The Royal Cousin. Normally... This is just my own personal opinion. Normally, I don't ever display these characters with their cartoon collection episode-specific accessories unless they're gadgets. Gadgets like this, like the one that I think Beastman had one, and certainly Man-at-Arms, these at least look like functioning weapons that you could display along with them, and they don't have to reference back to an episode like The Royal Cousin. Rock softener or not, jokes aside or not, it's decently detailed. It's got a few little lights there, buttons on the sides, painted here in red. This can be held in his hand, or hands for that matter. Just kind of bend the arms kind of towards him. Take then the handles. Now the handles are a little more on the softer plastic variety. Kind of get the hands in there. And now you've got himself holding the rock softener. Stop that. I don't know why looking at this, though, it kind of reminds me of the meme that was circulating around back then when it was Rambo. Somebody talently had removed the machine guns out of Rambo's hands. So then there was all these images of Rambo just basically with his thumbs up. And he was making expressions also in his face when he was doing this. I don't know why looking at Tri-Klops it reminds me of that. But anyways, you do get yourself the rock softener. Stop that. Let's move that off to the side, though, and get a closer look at Tri-Klops. Again, I love the fact that we are finally getting ourselves kind of more the OG characters. I mean, there's always those characters that appear in like random 1 or 2 episodes. But then you got the go-tos, the Tri-Klops, the Trapjaws, the Mermans, Evil Lyns, Beastmans, and now finally to have another one to go along with that. The thing about it, though, is if you're looking at this guy and you're comparing him along with the original Origins Tri-Klops, notably in the cartoon, he had a much smaller visor that's a little bit more contoured to the shape of his face. The original version and the vintage and then the Origins, what I just happen to have the Origins one here in front of me, clearly, though, has a much larger visor. Now, with the visor on him, they all basically work the exact same way. They rotate. With the Origins and Vintage, you could get a little bit more differences between the different eyes. So there's a blue eye, there was a red eye, there was another kind of red eye. Again, it kind of gave you at least something different when you looked at each separate eye from one another. The cartoon version of him doesn't change things all that much. The eyes look almost the same, although just it's kind of really the shape. The pupils and the iris are all really about the same. It's just really like the primary shapes. So you got yourself a triangle, you got yourself a circle, and what comes after a circle, boys and girls? A square. I probably would end up just sticking, I think, with the square. Not that it really matters. I mean, you could do really whatever you want. I did notice, though, that the visor was a little harder, though, to turn on him. It may have also something to do with the fact that the visor is much smaller attached to his head. Of course, though, on the back of Tri-Klops, just kind of rotate, I'll turn the figure around, you can see he's got long locks of hair on the back, all painted well in brown. The armor can be removed. It's pretty seamless, though, on the front, but there is a little snap right here. You'll excuse me, though, if I don't detach these. These always don't, they never seem to go back the way that I want them. It's like when you're trying to take out a prize from a cereal box as a kid. You do your best to try to reach down into the bag, and then, sure enough, you can kind of see where, okay, is it down there? I can't quite reach it. And then what do you always do as a kid? You kind of just pull the bag out. You look and see, oh, it's right in the corner. Fish your hand down, you pull out the prize, and then every kid did this in the 80s. They put the bag back in the box, and the box looked like this, didn't it? You can deny it. But I know we all did that. But that's ultimately what would end up happening if I tried to detach this now. I know I would loosen up the slot. I'd never be able to get the armor in place. Basically, though, underneath his body is a standard Master Universe Cartoon Collection buck. I couldn't help but, though, notice that the torso on Tri-Klops seems like it's a little bit lighter of a color than his arms. I don't really know what's causing that, considering really that they've molded this in plastic, they've molded this in plastic. But it does seem, though, he doesn't have as much spray tan in this area of his body. He's got the gauntlets there, painted well in gold. He's got the gold there on the front of his loincloth. And down below, a pretty much kind of He-Man looking style of body. Although I think with He-Man, he had the fur. Did he have the fur on the top of the boots? I think he did. All in all, though, it's a nice looking figure. I'm glad finally to get a Tri-Klops as part of my collection. Now for the figure's articulation. Starting first with his head sculpt, being that it is on a ball joint after all, it allows the head to rotate all the way around. The head can look up, the head can look down, and you can also rock it back and forth as well. As for his torso only is going to be a straight swivel. That's all you're going to be able to do. You could keep doing this all you want, but it isn't going to change the fact. What's the definition of insanity? Yeah, that's all you're going to be able to get from the torso. For his arms, though, while you will be still able to get a T pose, that means that you can bring the arms out at 90 degrees. Rotating the arms can be a little trickier, simply just because, again, like he's got this torso armor piece. The plastic is a little on the softer side, but it still is going to cause chaos when you want to try to rotate the arms all the way around. There's a straight swivel only there in the forearm, right below the bicep. There's also a bend just below the bicep at the elbow area. The hands rotate also all the way around. There's a hinge back and forth. Legs split out. Ball joints after all. You can take the legs and move them forward. Yeah. Take them back and move them back. Okay. You can also rotate them slightly at the top of the thigh. Down below, you also have the knee bend. Tell us more, storyteller. There's also a rotation down below here for the boots, and you can also ankle pivot back and forth and ankle rocker this way as well. The figure does also have pegals. Do I ever really mention this? I'll mention it right now. Pegals on the bottoms of the figure's feet. Though, unfortunately, though, these figures won't come included with display stands. I'm not going to spend this time now to bring back every single cartoon collection crony that we've gotten, just because there's going to be too much, and that's a lot of time taken up. But at least I'll bring in the OGs. So, again, there's Beastman, there's Trapjaw, Merman, Evil Lyn, and, of course, Skeletor. These are kind of like the characters that make up more the appearances in the Master Universe cartoon line. And again, like, I'm so happy now finally add Tri-Klops to it. Tri-Klops looks the part. I mean, look, he looks like the way he did in the cartoon. And unlike, though, maybe some of the other candidates in the past that come included with episode-specific accessories, which, let's face facts, I'm never going to display with them. The Rock Softener, at least, I am even having a hard time saying it now. The Rock Softener, at least, will be something I'm going to display along with either Tri-Klops or maybe even might even display him with like a character like Man-at-Arms. At least it's a cool enough accessory that it doesn't have to necessarily belong to the episode Royal Cousin. You could just pretend it's an accessory or a weapon wielded by anybody. As Tri-Klops wields the Rock Softener, which I think was owned at one point by actor Vin Diesel, this was, of course, pulled from the episode of The Royal Cousin. It was an okay episode. I mean, the only thing that was really memorable really about that episode was the rock softener. And at least that they included it as one of the eligible accessories, it at least makes a little bit more sense. And unlike, though, the other episode accessories that have been sitting in a bag for all this time, this one at least will be one that's going to be displayed along with the figure. Now, I don't know, though, if it's going to be along with Tri-Klops or if it's going to be with Beastman. It's going to be with one of these characters because at least it looks like a weapon, unlike a horn, unlike a mirror, unlike other things we've gotten, unlike Merman's pearl. How stupid was the pearl? At least this looks like a serviceable weapon. Tri-Klops, though, does have, again, that functioning gimmick of the rotating visor. Though with his visor, it's much smaller than the Origins and, for that matter, the original vintage Tri-Klops, but it looks very much the part like it does in the episode. Now, I did order this one from Entertainment Earth. No luck at all to find these at all in Canadian stores. Story of my life. But Entertainment Earth, unfortunately, though, at the time I've ordered it, they had it in stock. Right now, the stock has been listed back to pre-order. If you guys, though, are interested and still would like to get this and you haven't had any luck to find it, you can click the link down below that will take you on over to Entertainment Earth. Pre-order or otherwise, that affiliate link will also save you 10% on anything that's currently in stock. What do you guys, though, think of Tri-Klops? Let me know down below in the comments section. If you guys did enjoy this video, you can do it as well and certainly help the channel by hitting it with a like. But if you guys want to stick around for more so, I hope so, you can hit the subscribe, you can turn on that bell. And the most important thing is that you can also come back. I will, by the way, be telling you guys we are kind of wrapping things up right now for Cartoon Collection, at least for this week. But there will still be more Motu stuff coming your way for the rest of this week. So I hope to see you guys again. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.